So this is a web app. It can be accessed from anywhere, including a phone, hence fulfilling Criterion 1.6 as it being a cross-platform app. And our app consists of two apps, one for the admin and one for the worker. If the email is invalid, and if the password is wrong, we cannot sign in. If we had forgotten our password, we can go into this page. Once you fill in the account that we actually want a reset on, we get a link from Firebase to reset our account. To log in, so we'll first start with the user management page. And you can see how for now that we're only able to archive a worker and we cannot delete a worker, fulfilling Criterion 1.2 that we can only archive instead of delete. To create a new worker, which is Criterion 2.1, an admin simply just creates a worker like this. And hence, for a worker's account page in the profile page, they can very easily see their base rates and their daily per diem rates, fulfilling Criterion 3.1. To add a bank account, it's simply done so. Account has now been added, and to set the account as default, it's simply done like this. And hence this fulfills Criterion 3.1, where the worker can easily manage their own profile, see their base rates, and also change the default bank accounts. We'll now work on the project management page by logging into an admin. Here, the admin can very easily manage all existing projects. To create a new project, a project is now created. To invite a worker, workers have now been invited, fulfilling Criterion 2.1. And hence, if we refresh this page, the worker can now see that they have been invited to a project, as seen with their notifications, which fulfills Criterion 1.4. To accept the invite, the worker simply goes into here and accepts the invite. The invite is now accepted, and the worker can now see what projects are they currently involved in. We'll now start the project. We'll now show the example of how an admin logs the expense for a company general expense. This is done so. To create an expense policy type, this is how an admin would done so. And it's done. This fulfills Criterion 2.3. Now we will show an example of how a worker logs expenses and also claims work hours. Here we could see that if the expense exceeds the policy of limit of 300 USD set by the admin, a warning is created and hence we cannot fill in this form. A currency conversion is needed during input that if we instead convert this amount into a much smaller currency like the ringgit, we can see that this is now actually accepted, which hence we can see that the currency conversion is active and in place. And now we'll show the work hours. We could see that if the amount is invalid, that it actually doesn't get approved. Hence. And now it's been approved. This fulfills Criterion 3.3 and Criterion 3.4. Now we'll show how does the admin approve the expenses and the claims, demonstrating Criterion 2.3, 2.4, and 2.5. And hence you can see the latest approval made here. And hence the admin can quickly see the details of the expense submitted by the worker, such as the actual picture itself, and hence approved. Same for the work hours. Approved. Once approved, it's going to show up as payments due to the company, as seen here. The work hour has been approved, and this is how much the company owes the worker. That's been calculated dynamically, and the admin can now choose how much do they want to pay off. And in this case, we'll pay off all of them at once. And now it's processing, which now we will assume that it's been paid in real life. And you can see that the bank account can be chosen here. And now I come back here, you can see that a payment has been completed. This fulfills Criterion 2.5. Now looking at Criterion 3.5 and 2.6, the client can very easily view history from here, view all reports regarding all workers, for example, the work hours, and they can also choose which project do they want to specifically look at via the filter bar, and once done, they can simply export a CSV. This also applies for expenses and projects, and they can look at it for all workers for it. Furthermore, regarding analytics, it can be easily seen through here for insights. For Criterion 1.4, the notification can be easily seen through this page for both admin and the workers. To read them, you can easily just press this to filter them. And now we'll demonstrate how does the backup system work. To run a backup, the admin simply goes into settings, and they can either manually refresh the currency exchange rate, or also create a backup. A backup has now been created. Moving here, as seen here. This fulfills Criterion 1.5 of having a backup system. About the maintainability of our code, we can actually see that the relevant folders, like all of the files, are actually stored and cluttered together. So you can see, for example, all of the backend files in JS are stored in this folder, whilst the JSX files are stored here, which is for the React layouts, and for the cloud functions in TypeScript, it's all stored in the functions directory. Furthermore, we've also used GitHub the entire time, as seen here with git commit extension on VS Code, which this allows all of our code to be pushed onto our code base to be pushed onto GitHub, which allows future developers to easily maintain our code, as you can see the progress of our code.